We are here in the Samoa Dunes Recreation Area where we are about to explore the ruins of Humboldt County's very first lighthouse, built over 160 years ago. And joining me is our guide, Julie Clark, a park ranger with the Bureau of Land Management. So Julie, are you ready to head out on yet another historical outdoor adventure?
Yes, let's go, Ray.
Let's do it, woo! Julie, I think this is it. I see a bunch of bricks scattered everywhere around here.
You know, you never know the history beneath your feet, Ray. I mean, this brick actually belonged to the tower of the first lighthouse in Humboldt County.
Oh, wow. But Julie, we're so far away from the ocean. Why would they build a lighthouse way out here in the middle of the dunes?
Well, in 1851, the surveyor, he was a Navy admiral captain, he came out here and he selected this spot to build a lighthouse because it was so close to the entrance to Humboldt Bay, the Humboldt Bar.
Had he ever been here before?
He had only been here a week, and he decided that there would be no fog for whatever reason. It wasn't foggy that day, like today as we see. But it was really a poor choice in the end because we're so far away from actually where the ships docked for supplies to get here to build the lighthouse. And it's shifting sands. There's only 53 feet that the tower stood above high tide. So ships could barely see this light. The very first ship bringing out all the construction supplies out here to build the lighthouse actually wrecked on its way here. And then they had to start all over again. Once they got the supplies here in 1854 and construction began, they had to cart the supplies over the sand dunes from the bay where the ship was and get here, which is about a half a mile. And once they finally built this location, it was 1854. Now they had to wait for the light to arrive from France because the Fresnel lands had to be shipped from France. And then it had to go all the way around the Horn. And then once it got close to this area, they snatched the light and took it to Point Loma Lighthouse.
Oh, no.
And then finally, after all this work, on December 20th, 1856, John Johnson lit the light for the first time.
Hooray, finally. Can we go around and look at some of the ruins and see what we can find?
Oh,
here?
absolutely.
All right,
let's
go.
Look. All this brick you see is over 160 years old. It was all part of the tower. And then beneath it was the foundation of where the lighthouse keepers actually lived. And then up through the center was the tower. And let me show you where the foundation of this is. This was all part of the foundation that once belonged to this lighthouse in 1856. And then this is all the vinca and ivy that's all kind of taken over, but they actually planted it so many years ago. Come on, Ray, I'll take you around and show you some more. You can see, Ray, there's this trough here. This is part of that foundation of the lighthouse. And now ivy and vinca has grown all around it.
Julia, it's so fascinating, and there's like ruins scattered everywhere out here. Bricks and walls and everything else. What a sight.
Yeah, the Bureau of Land Management actually protects this site as a historic site. You know, taking these bricks, or even just one brick, would be like ripping a page out of a book.
So, Julie, why wasn't the lighthouse working out in this location?
The fog was a huge issue. One lighthouse keeper recorded 1,100 hours of fog. Yeah, it was so foggy that they actually had to build a fog siren here so that the ships could hear the sound during the fog. They couldn't see the light. And then shifting sands was creating problems with flooding. And then there was an earthquake here and a cyclone. So by 1892, they finally just moved the lighthouse to Table Bluff. And the only thing here left is the bricks. And there's actually a cupola that you can see at the Humboldt Maritime Museum right next to the Smoke Cookhouse.
Hey, I have an idea for something I thought would be fun to try. Are you game?
Sure.
Okay, let's go. Julie, you might have been wondering why I've been lugging this backpack with us. Well, I thought it would be kind of fun to imagine what it used to be like for the lighthouse keepers who might have sat out here to enjoy days like this.
Yeah, this sounds like a great idea.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
This must have been a real preferred posting for lighthouse keepers, right?
Oh, Ray. No, it was not a preferred lighthouse keeping post. Oh, this was a hard post to fill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so one died, many resigned, most of them resigned, a few were fired, and then most of them didn't last more than 6 months. But there was one lighthouse keeper that was here for 6 years, Sarah Johnson, and she was actually the second lighthouse keeper. Her husband was the first lighthouse keeper, but he died after a year. And then she actually had a newborn baby and 5 children to raise.
By herself at the lighthouse?
Yeah, by herself.
And she had to run all the lighthouse duties in addition to that.
It was really hard work. Just to get supplies out here, she had to go over the sand dunes to a boat across the bay to Old Town Eureka, get the supplies back in the boat across the bay, and then back over the sand dunes to this. It probably took her all day. And interestingly enough, when the Lighthouse Board found out that she was taking over the lighthouse keeping, it took some time. Yeah. They reduced her pay from $1,000 a year to $600 a year, just because she was a woman. And that's really how it happened for women lighthouse keepers back then. Either their husband or their father died or couldn't do it anymore, so they kind of inherit the post. A lot of women lighthouse keepers during that time faced that kind of the discrepancy of pay. So Sarah was here for 6 years, and then she passed away about 3 years after that. She's buried in the Morriltown Cemetery in Eureka, and every year the Coast Guard honors her every Memorial Day, and they take a lantern to her grave. So that's a pretty special thing for a lighthouse keeper.
Oh, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
So once it was determined that this lighthouse was completely ineffective, as you were saying, they built a new one up on Table Bluff in 1892. So what happened to this site then?
Well, it kind of sat here for about 40 years, and all the walls started to crumble, and you know, the roof started caving in. And in 1921, a journalist from the Humboldt Standard came out here, and he described it perfectly. In fact, I have a copy of it. You want me to read it?
I'd love to hear it, Julie.
All right. Okay. Of the original lamp room, there remains but the shell. The floor of iron is rusted, the walls of stone are crumbling, and the square ports through which the lamp shone forth have but a few bits of lenses. Below us, through the broken roof, we see the flower-grown fireplaces that was then cozy and warm, and that is now but a moss-grown fireplace and a single floor joist, ready to crumble away at the least disturbance.
your guiding light. I'm your lighthouse, I'm the sun against your dark clouds. I will